how I travel for free thanks to the IRS. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode at NOVARISE Invest, your channel for financial education. So today's video is for all business owners out there looking to travel for free under your business. In today's video, what I'm going to do is to share the tips that I follow and that I implement in order to be able to deduct my trips from the company according to the IRS. So let's go ahead and get started. So to kick it off, I want to first show you where in the IRS website you can actually find the topic related to business travel expenses. And you're going to take this information and discuss it with your accountant so that way you can determine the right strategy for you so you can go ahead and deduct your trips from your company. In today's video, I'm going to share the steps that I have followed to deduct my trips under my business, and a deduction means less money paid in taxes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever I'm doing is going to work out well for you, because your business might be different from my business model, which is why it's important for me to share this IRS website, and you can find the link down in the description box below, and you're going to take this to your accountant once again to sort of like go over your position and see what you can do in order to, take advantage of this opportunity and in a way travel for free, right? So now that we know this, let's just come back into the tablet. And what we're going to do now is to basically go over the steps that you need to follow in order to make this happen legally. So that way you can legally deduct those expenses from your business and of course, reduce your taxable income. So we have section 511 right here from the Internal Revenue Code. So IRC, which is from the IRS, and it's about deducting travel expenses from your business, right? So from your business. So before you can even think about doing anything or thinking about planning your trip or anything like that, the first thing you need to set up is to ask whether this trip has a business purpose. That's the most important thing you need to do. So recently, you will notice in some of our social media posts, whether it's on Instagram or in our YouTube community, you will notice that Anthony and I were recently down in Peru, right? And believe it or not, we looked like we were having a lot of fun and stuff, but there was a business purpose to that trip in Peru. And so the way we jot this down, because you have to have a case in the event that you do get audited by the IRS, you have to be able to demonstrate and to prove that there was in fact a true business purpose for your trip. So in our case, we were down there taking a lot of footage. You notice that as part of our videos, even though this is a channel for financial literacy, we use a lot of our own footage for B-roll. For those who don't know what a B-roll is, it's just basically that background footage that you see of me or Anthony or Gladys giving you a like, or maybe me looking worried in the background. It's footage that we use to help you depict the story, to be able to convey those emotions. So our trip to Peru was to be able to capture every single emotion out there, whether it is an emotion from the business owners feeling joy because they see customers in their business, or capturing nature, the Amazon, Machu Picchu, or the Rainbow Mountain. Anything that comes to mind, we wanted to be able to capture that because we will eventually use that footage, if not in this video, in some other videos in the future. So we wanted to be able to stock up in our own footage because it is ourselves. So it makes our videos more unique in that sense. So on that end, we got that covered. And it's not just video footage. We're talking about pictures as well. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody that travels winds up taking pictures, right? So how is this any different? So as part of a business case, we have footage because this model works for our business. Once again, we are in the media business. We do create content. So this goes line in line with our business purpose. Now, the second business purpose that we have was for market research, right? So, but this research was more on the psychological end of it, because we do create content for people all over the world. Maybe you might not notice it in this channel because we do create content in English and NOVARISE Invest, but we do have a Spanish channel that is called NOVARISE Latino. And in that channel, we do teach the same content that we teach here, but in Spanish. But it doesn't mean that the videos are created the same way, because culture plays a role in the creation of content. Same thing with language. It does create a big role in how the content is delivered. So what I wanted to do was to get a better understanding of how people in Latin America think. How do they engage with one another? How do they consume content? How do they basically learn about financial literacy? And not just financial literacy, how do they learn overall in general? Do they do that through video, or do they prefer a book? And the best way to be able to access that information is by interacting with people directly. So we went down to Peru with that intent. In addition to that, we also wanted to check out some real estate. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a real estate investment channel. And so during our stay in multiple cities and multiple towns, we did move a lot around in Peru. We got the opportunity to experience different kinds of hotels, different kinds of constructions. And there are actually a lot of creative ways to invest in real estate that it's outside of the typical long-term rental that most of us are familiar with in the States. One type of real estate investment that really caught my attention was one that was created in the Amazon. So this was a resort that was built in the Amazon, and it was literally built in the middle of the jungle. It was open air, as open as it can be. It had no windows whatsoever. So this was the first time that I was in a place where I saw that humans could coexist without any type of friction whatsoever with animals. I'm sure that that exists in some parts of the world, but I didn't get the chance to experience that firsthand myself. So this was our first time where we're in the middle of the jungle. You get to see the birds flying by, you get monkeys coming by, and sometimes you will even interact and you know, just hang out with the insects inside of your room. Everything was natural, and there was no damage whatsoever. The animals sometimes would come close to you just to see what's up, and then they will leave. And so it was a very nice experience, not just at the personal level, but also at the real estate level. We got the opportunity to check out the type of materials that they use for the construction, how they made it all green, like climate friendly. So that way there was no impact on the vicinity or the ecosystem that was around it, how they preserve electricity, how they use generators, how they will maximize every bit of energy that they got in such a remote area of the world and still make things happen. And they're actually very successful at it. So definitely a great business purpose out there. So now that we got this out of the way, so you need to know, you need to understand that there's a business purpose for your trip. So you have to figure out what is your business purpose, independently whether you're in the business of shipping or in the real estate business or in the entertainment business. So that's why it's important for you to take Section 511 onto your accountant and be able to determine how you can fit that into your business purpose, right? Now, I want to take a moment to remind you that if you like this episode, feel free to hit the like button right here below so you can help this episode rank and help others like you looking for information of this kind. And if you happen to know somebody who will find this information useful, feel free to share the love and send this episode their way so you can help change their lives for the better. Back to the episode. So now moving along on to another thing that you keep in mind, it's the planning of your trip, right? So by planning, I'm not talking about all the places that you want to go and yada yada. No, I'm talking about how can you maximize your money without the need of necessarily spending your money, right? So in our case, we did the booking of our plane tickets with credit cards, right? And it wasn't with just any credit cards. It was with the credit cards that offered us the highest amount of points as possible. And this is something that we have been talking in our channel over and over again, meaning that if you could replace some of the expenses that you normally pay with cash with a credit card, you will have the opportunity to accumulate money and points at the end of the day. And so the way we did it is that we utilized a credit card that offered us the maximum amount of points when it comes to converting it into earned like credit. So typically the way it works with credit cards is that if you have 1 point and you want to trade it for cash back, that trade, it's going to be a one-on-one trade, meaning you trade 1 point for 1 credit for cash back. But if you use it for airline purchases or airline tickets, that 1 point that you get will get you 1.5 credits for your airline ticket. So for us, it's kind of like a no-brainer. Why do we want to use our money or our cash or a credit card line to purchase those tickets when we have those points accumulated and we can travel for free? So in our case, since we went to Peru, an airline ticket could go somewhere between $700 to $1,500, depending on the season of the year. So if busy season, it's going to cost more, and sometimes it can cost even more than $1,500. And in this trip, I didn't go by myself, right? I went with Anthony because I'm in charge of the content creation and interacting with people. But then Anthony is in charge of everything that has to do with videography, the visuals, and capturing those images. So the two of us had to come. And when you multiply that by 2, we're talking about a lot of dollars, right? Assuming you're going on the high end of the spectrum. Let's say you're traveling in high season. I mean, this is a lot of savings when it comes to using those points. So long story short, we got our airline tickets for free. We didn't have to pay for a single dime of it because we accumulated a lot of points. And for those who are actually wondering the type of credit cards that we actually use our business credit card, one that is from Chase. You can actually check in here and look into the one that offers you the most perks depending on your needs. And the site is here for you to check it out. So find the link down in the description box below. Now, another important point in our planning had to do with efficiency. With time, right? So what we ended up doing is we apply for a global entry membership, right? And for those who don't know what global entry / TSA is, I'm sure you've seen it. You probably are not remember what they are. So think of it this way. When you go to the airport, you have to go through security, right? And security lines are not fun. You usually have to stand there, make a line, wait for people to go through. And always during that line where they're making you take off your shoes or take off your stuff in the backpack or take out your belt, you will see some people walking by on the side on a line that is very easily to get through, no security check. And you will see the logo of the global entry or TSA above. So long story short, a global entry or TSA is basically a membership that you can pay where they will give you access to those lines. So the way it works is that they're going to do a background check on you, make sure you don't have any criminal records, and then you're going to get approved for a number of years under that membership. And then towards the end of it, you can always apply for a renewal. And for those who are actually interested, the site is right here. And I'm also going to make sure I'll leave the link in the description box below so you can check it out. So once again, the one we apply for is global entry, because once you apply for global entry, you also get automatic access to TSA. At least for now, things might change depending on when you're tuning in into this episode. But in essence, you can apply online, you fill up an application, and the way it works is that you have to constantly monitor the site just to see if the status of your application has changed. So for example, with Anthony, when he applied for the membership, he got a conditional approval right away. He applied during low season, so he got an appointment in no time. Right now, I know that global entry systems are actually backed up, so you might have to wait a couple of months before you can even get access to an interview. That interview is kind of like the final step, and they usually give you that interview 3 to 4 months in advance so you can plan accordingly. Now, you don't have to actually wait for that day to have your interview. If you happen to be traveling and if you happen to be at an airport, you can actually request an immigration officer to grant you access to an appointment for global entry, assuming you have a conditional approval. You have to have a conditional approval first before you can even request the appointment. And what they do is that they'll have you meet up with an officer, and voila, you're going to get your global entry access approved without the need of you having to wait an extra couple of months just to be approved for that. So definitely something to keep in mind. It's very efficient, very important, because at the end of the day, you want to save time. Time translates money, right? Because it's not the same thing for you to be standing 3 hours on the security line waiting for people to take their stuff out of the backpack versus you using those additional 3 hours and be able to do more work for your business or, you know, just enjoy a little bit more of quality time in your trips. So it's definitely worth it, and you should definitely check it out. Now, moving on to the next tip is related to your expenses during your trip, right? Because you have to make sure that everything is documented properly so that you can give access to your accountant for it. So that way those expenses that are related to your business trips can be deducted in an efficient way from your accounting books. So the way we did it is that, once again, we utilize a credit card. And this credit card had additional perks, right? So among one of those perks is the fact that this one particular credit card did not have international fees. And once again, for those who are interested, here is the page of the credit card, which is going to be down in the description box below. But it's this card in particular, the one that says business, right? Once again, you click apply, and then you will get a list of various credit cards offered by Chase that will have the perks that I'm covering right now. So back to the tablet, our card did not charge international fees. And this is something that is extremely important because it might seem minute at the beginning, but when you start adding all of those fees up, it becomes very expensive. So just to share a little bit about what happened to me years ago, when I didn't understand much about credit cards, I went on a trip to Europe and I use my debit card for everything. So every time I swiped my debit card, there was a couple of cents here, there was or a euro there, 2 euros over there. And long story short, I ended up spending over $300 in international transaction fees. That's something that can be prevented if you use the right credit card in those trips. Now, I want to pause for a second and ask for your opinion. What do you think about what I'm sharing so far? Let me know down in the comment section below, and your comment will help me get to know you better, so that way I can design a much better episode that can meet your needs in terms of what you're looking to learn. Now, back to the episode. Another thing that we use a credit card to maximize our points. So for example, the Chase card that we use allowed us to accumulate 3 times the point for every dollar spent when we use it to book hotels. Same thing whenever we use it for an Uber, because I mean, you're in a different country, so it's not like you want to drive around. At least I don't. I want to be able to do the sightseeing and enjoy and not having to worry about being behind the wheel. So we use that credit card, and at the end of the day, you end up getting a lot of points because they're designed to maximize them whenever you use them in those assigned expenses. So when you leave all of your expenses under a single credit card or just a couple of credit cards that you're using for your trip, you're making your accountant's job a lot easier. They're gonna love you because now they don't have to look all over the place for your statements. You have everything in one single credit card statement that they can just pull up and then just populate in their accounting books and be able to do those deductions accordingly. So that way you can maximize on the savings and be able to enjoy a trip under your business. So there you go. Those are the tips, and hopefully you can implement this information and have an intelligent and informed conversation with your accountant so that you can plan your future trip for free and have it tax deductible. And while I still have you here, make sure you check this video on the side. That's going to help you complement everything you just learned today. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.